Hey, welcome everybody. We're live. Should be broadcasting out to Facebook and YouTube if everything is working the way it's supposed to be working. Which is always a good question.
What's that?
If it's working the way it's supposed to be working.
I was going to joke because of social distancing, our intern hasn't been able to come in and set everything up for you, so you have to do it all by yourself.
Right. No intern anywhere.
Nope. It's almost like we never had one.
So yeah, it looks like it's working on YouTube. Anybody out there? If you're out there, make sure you say hi. We'd love to hear from you. So Pat,
yes,
that's your social distancing 700 miles away.
Taking social distancing very seriously. I still am live from Studio B here in south of Atlanta in Georgia. By the way, B stands for bedroom. Should be Studio GB for guest bedroom, but we're going to Studio B. My wife is an essential railroad employee for Norfolk Southern, and she is working during this time, and our car decided to go belly up. So I did what everybody does in the middle of a pandemic. I jumped in a car and drove 750 miles. Usually when I'm down here, I'm doing fun stuff like pawn shop safaris and visiting our friends at CR Alsip. No, it's pretty much grocery store, gas station. They don't sell the guitar stuff there. So that's kind of why we're online. Give people something to do and talk about.
Right. Well, and I mean, I'm not even doing the grocery store gas station right now.
Did you get the delivery yet, or is that still
this week? We're hoping we reserved for Friday. So the Peapod, our giant does a thing called Peapod, our grocery store. We scheduled that for Friday. I think we're gonna, when we're done doing this live stream, my wife and I are gonna sit down and confirm that order, pay for it, and then see if they actually bring us anything. So Brian Landreth is here. Brian, it's nice to see you.
We've always liked Brian. I think we like Brian a little bit more now because of his actual profession and what he's out there doing, so that when we do venture out or people deliver things, there's things to deliver. Right.
And Brian says that you have a gold mine behind you, PJ.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there used to be a time where people would be interested, like, what guitars are back there? No, now they're like, hey, he has toilet paper.
And Clorox wipes. See, Brian, we were talking about, like, if we wanted to get 1,000 new subscribers, we could offer spare square from this 1,000 sheets, send one to each person, have them subscribe. Yeah. So we're gonna build the channel one square at a time.
That's awesome. So 19 conversations.
This is conversation number 2.
So Pat, if you count yesterday's, this is conversation number 2. Yeah. So we've decided that why we're both kind of locked here doing nothing, which is really untrue, because I feel like I'm working harder than normal. But anyway, why we're kind of locked here with nowhere to go. Let's say that.
Yes.
We figured we would take a spot in the day and try and get on live every day and just have a conversation. Sometimes just the two of us, obviously with anybody who pops in. And then maybe try and bring some people in. Like we don't have anything firm yet, but I think we can say with some certainty we might see people like Bella Porta and just a few other people that we think will be in.
Yeah, some irons in the fire, people that I think that you'll really enjoy and maybe see from the show before. And if we're really fortunate and Jason's emails are more persuasive than usual, maybe even some new faces. Who knows?
Right. Well,
but I know. Me personally, during this time, a lot of people are going live. A lot of people already have a really good social media presence, but I've sat in more lives a week than probably ever before. So it's interesting. So we're just trying to do our part and stay connected with each other. And yesterday, I actually had a comment from a guy. You just never know.
Yeah, that's cool.
Probably the middle of the night for him.
The ironic thing was yesterday is we made a comment. I said guys in the live stream, and then we said, well, maybe that's sexy. But it's not really, because 99.9%, I think we know the one girl out of the 878 subscribers we have, the one person or the two people that are my wife and your wife, mom, and Chicken Guitars or something. And then we had 2 subscribers right after that. I mean, to me, they both look like they were girl names, right?
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, Brian just said he really likes the Barber Game Changer. It's nice, man. It is. I'm really digging that pedal.
Yeah, it's always interesting for us to shoot a video, hear it in the room, and then go back and watch it. And even not being in the room, I like the way that one sounded. If that makes sense. Not to say that I dislike stuff, but it's a very different sound sometimes once it's mic'd from 3 inches away and through different things, then hits the old variable compression that happens on YouTube that everybody talks about. But that's a great pedal.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What?
I was just going to say, Brian, that I agreed with Brian. He said Chicken Guitars is awesome. Yeah, seems like
I think you should email David Barber and say, in the interest of his safety, we're never giving those pedals back.
Right, because now they're contaminated.
Right, exactly. But one's coming from him to us would be totally sanitized. But anything coming the other way would be just a train wreck. So we got to keep them.
We're supposed to potentially, hopefully, have Mike Morrison come over sometime and do the compressor pedal too. But things are falling.
Yeah,
things are falling, and I had an interesting conversation with him today. So if you've been watching the channel, one of the field trips we did was to Mike Morrison's house, and he teaches guitar lessons. And I had an interesting conversation with him today about teaching online and maybe starting to do that. And he said he's never owned a computer, but he's interested in buying one and maybe getting that going. So we might see some of that. Which.
Yeah, because music is his livelihood. That's one of the people that we've talked about directly or indirectly and saying the whole thing that's happening, the stuff that we enjoy and like and watch and do is people's livelihood.
Right.
And he didn't.
And I feel bad.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I feel bad because I've been going over there and taking some lessons with him recently. And I'm not coming today because we're... with Lori's health issues with the jaw surgery and stuff that she had, and we're just not going anywhere.
It's hard to bust out a face melting solo when you're in a hazmat suit, so it's probably not real conducive to play. Plus, I was thinking maybe his house looks like the one in E.T. where they had it covered and there was a tunnel to get into it. So, yeah, it's funny when you mentioned about technology because he is a brilliant player, but just not a real techie guy, right? So it'd be interesting for him to be able to figure out how to do that and get it up and running. I think there's some of the stuff that's going to come out of this it's just like anything else. It all seems horrible, and it is. But things come out of it that you never expected. So if it brings Mike into the technological world and he can do even more lessons online, or that's an option for a student who can't make it, or it'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah, a way to keep going with the ones he has and maybe add some new ones. And I have a feeling if we had him on the show a couple times and he was doing online lessons, people would be signing up in droves because he's great player, great teacher, great guy.
And he's super diverse in his playing. A little something for everybody.
So I have a knife.
All right. The same knife since you were 5?
Same knife since I was 5. And I have a box that the FedEx guy rang the doorbell and handed it to me yesterday. I felt like he was sending me a nuclear bomb. I'm not going to lie. I might have sprayed it with Lysol and let it sit for a day before I opened on it. You can think I'm stupid all you want.
I'm totally safe. This is the only part about the unboxing that's good for me.
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and... Well, I have this other camera. We can turn the other camera on.
You do.
Brian says he has 4 computers in the house and none of them are his. He does everything with the phone. Yeah, and I think, well, Mike didn't even have a smartphone I think he has a smartphone now. For a long time, he had a flip phone. Sending him a text was a 3 to 5 business day reply.
You could have mailed him a letter quicker.
Right. All right, so here's the box. We're going to pop this bad boy open. So we're still, like I said, we're not necessarily out shopping for new things, but we have stuff still like loose ends for the Tremolo series coming. And this one is pretty cool. And I'm impressed that this company was able to help us out a little bit, because I think that's not something they typically do.
I agree, and I think our initial request on the other series kind of didn't really get a lot of traction. So look at that.
Got 0 traction. Got a reply, but no traction. But this one we got, helping us out a little bit. So the Flint tremolo and reverb from Strymon. So nice guys over there. The guy I talked to is really cool. We have the Strymon Flint user manual. I tell you, like all the companies, they really take some effort in boxing now, don't they?
Push that in frame a little bit more. I see the edge of the box.
I see the edge. Well, I'm pulling it out.
Oh my gosh, there's not one in there.
There we go.
Sorry. Nice.
Anything else in here? Got a little card with a number on it.
Did they shove a Big Sky in the bottom of it, or no?
Definitely have to have.
Oh yeah.
Sticker. And there's a power adapter too, but I mean everybody knows what a power adapter looks like, so we're not going to pull that out. But the sticker and the pedal definitely worth. So yesterday there was there's one other pedal that's shipping here, and that's shipping from across the pond. And meanwhile, what do we have on this one? Intensity, speed, decay, color, mix. We have a 60s, a 70s, and an 80s reverb. And we have a 61 harm, a 63 tube, and a 65 photo. Tap tempo. Oh no, reverb bypass, tremolo bypass. I don't think I don't know if there's tap, but there's an expression pedal in, so you might be able to do a tap tempo there.
Right.
Input, stereo outs. I mean, Strymon. So
yeah, world class for sure.
Right, it's gonna be good. It's gonna sound good.
Well, it's interesting because we've had this discussion before. You love Leslie. I didn't dislike it. I just never had one. Love the sound. I love tremolo. More of a user than a encyclopedic knowledge base like a Josh got about tremolo. But one thing I don't think that I honestly have ever heard me playing or in a room is tremolo in stereo. So I am really, other than I think
we had one video where we did that.
Yeah, I think we did it maybe just once did we do it with the Terraform messing around, or?
It might have been the Terraform video, and it was crazy.
Yeah. So one time, so I take that back. One time, and I think it wasn't even the primary focus of what we were doing, because we were kind of, we went through the Terraform settings for some things, but we initially got the Terraform in for the Leslie thing. But anyway, so let me back that up and qualify that statement by saying I have very limited experience with tremolo and stereo, but it's going to be great for the ones that do. I almost said do that.
Got a new name in here, Matt. Is this somebody you know? Maybe Matt Wellendorf from Facebook.
I don't know. Can I see that?
And he says he's pretty old school, but he loves a Flint. Yeah, it's that thing with Strymon. Like, I mean, even though we're talking digital pedals, but the sound is really they've crossed that line from where it's all right, I guess, to be digital.
Right.
I love the fact that it has reverb on it too. I'm really.
So the reverb, it was just more like a decade kind of thing, right? Like this doesn't have any like modulation or shimmer or anything like that, right? It's just
I don't think so, but I don't know for sure.
Right.
We haven't dived. I mean, obviously we haven't dived into it or even read the manual or anything like that. You know that Strymon has all the secondary functions too. So you have 5 knobs on the top, and then you hold buttons down, and you got 5 more secondary functions. So if Matt loves the Flint, maybe he knows, but maybe Matt, you know better than us. Are we just talking like kind of a spring reverb or Hall, or is there some of the shimmer stuff and things like that as well? But it's really cool if you think about it, because it's kind of like pulling out, like if you look at like an old Fender Deluxe or a Vibrolux or a Twin or something, you had your reverb and your tremolo built in at the end, right? You're plugging into the amp, and then you have those two things at the end of the circuit. So kind of cool to put those two things together in a pedal. It's pretty smart.
Right. It's cool. I can see the comments, and it's cool that it gives you the, like Brian's stuff you can see is coming through YouTube. Like you said, Matt's is coming through Facebook. Pretty cool.
You can see where it's coming from. It looks like we have about 5 people out there watching right now, which
stalkers.
cool. Yeah. Say hello.
Right. That's the whole point. Well, that and I wanted to see the new pedal. No, really, the whole point is to like start a conversation and just like see how this is us checking in on our friends and neighbors.
So while we're waiting for people to join in and maybe have questions or want to start some side conversation, which we're happy to do, because we like we said, we're setting aside half hour, 45 minutes or whatever to just have these conversations once a day. Last night, I'm looking through Facebook, and I mean, like Pat said, there's a lot of people going live. What is it? Nugs.net has been showing a lot of concerts lately, like bringing up old concerts and putting them out for free. So a couple nights ago, I ran into the Susan Tedeschi or Tedeschi Trucks Band. And, I'm a big fan of them. I have, recordings by both, whatever. And I clicked on this concert, and it's been a while since I've watched them. And my gosh, that band is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Changing subject, Matt said it's pretty straightforward, just enough tweaking without being too complicated. All the settings are very usable. Cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to plugging it in. So their Trucks Band, or Tedeschi Trucks Band, blows me away. Then I'm in another night, and there's another band. I forget who was on the next night. That was.
I thought it was your guy. It was.
No, there was one in between that.
What was it? Warren Haynes, or that was?
Oh yeah.
That's what I meant by your guy. And
it was Warren Haynes doing BB King. He was playing that BB King thing.
Yes.
Right. James is in the house. James just tuned in from Connecticut and says the internet's pretty sketchy. Sorry to hear that, man. I hope it works for you. Brian just got his song mastered last night, so that's sweet, Brian. When are we gonna be able to hear that?
That's an interesting process. I was around mastering one time. It was wild.
So Warren Haynes killing BB King, just absolutely destroying. It's Warren. So last night I pop. I'm doing this right because this is what our life has become: social distancing.
Sometimes it's the thumb.
Sometimes it's this. Sometimes it's this. But it's always to scroll down. Like if I just give it one more swipe, there will be something interesting there. And it was Marcus King, right? So Marcus King.
While you're bringing that up real quick, that's a whole Jerry Seinfeld shtick about the remote control. That the last thing to fall asleep at night is your thumb looking for some type of entertainment. You can translate that into the smartphone. It's the last thing that goes to sleep is your.
I wonder if he's updated that shtick.
That's right.
So
you're scrolling.
Last night was Marcus King. I sent that over to Pat, and we have it right here. We can't play it, obviously. We can't play the whole show. That wouldn't make any sense. But I want to give you 30 seconds of this and see if you can guess what I was doing 30 seconds after starting watching this. So where is it? Pop him up. Here he is, Marcus King. Check him out for 30 seconds. And Brian, I'm looking forward to that. Brian said maybe tomorrow on hearing the song. That'd be great.
Okay.
Here we go. I got to click over here. I'm clicking on my window. I got to click on the Facebook. Here we go. Oh, come on now. And this kid, too. We ought to give just a taste of him singing. This young guy, such a soulful voice. Man, can he play?
That must have been one of the last shows before he probably had to suspend a tour. Right? So 323 on it, I think. Is that true? What is today? Or that's just when they published it?
323. It says 32320, the Capitol Theater.
I don't even know what is today's date. This is horrible.
Today's the 24th.
Okay, well, I don't know.
There's no March 18th. No, over on site, filmed live on March 8th, 2019.
Okay.
So 323 is when they posted it, I guess.
Gotcha.
Filmed on March 8th.
Yeah, Marcus King, I knew about Marcus King because of Jason and Warren Haynes, and what a find that guy is.
Yeah, Brian says he's just hearing about this guy. Brian. Yeah, there's a rabbit hole for you, man.
Yeah, and there's cool interviews with him about playing Gibson guitars. I think he talked a story about his grandfather's guitar, and just seems like another cool laid back dude.
Yeah, he does that thing where he puts like his tube screamer up on top of the Fender Super. I think he runs a Hampstead amp and a Fender Super. He puts a tube screamer up on the Super, runs the Super all the way open, and then dials it back a little bit. Uses he calls it the poor man's attenuator. That's one of the things I've been doing for years too. Typically plays like a red 335-ish guitar. I don't think it's actually a 335, but
yeah, if it's
plays
a 355
red hollow body a lot.
Yeah. Which I'm wondering, I think that
but it's a Warren
grandfather's guitar. Yeah.
The 335?
Yeah, the guitar he plays, I thought was his grandfather's or one that was built like it or something, but I could be totally fabricating stories.
No, you're right. The hollow body was the grandfather's, and I think that they've made like a Gibson signature series that maybe he's using that now. I'm not sure, but fantastic player. I mean, cool kid. Cool. Warren Haynes protege. Like you see him around. I think Warren Haynes might have actually produced his album or something, and you see him around that scene a lot with Government Mule and people like
maybe
that.
In our 19 conversations, which this is conversation number 2, we could have a little segment like that, and maybe we unearth somebody that we think maybe everybody hasn't heard about. And I actually have to go look him up because speaking of tours, I got to see Eric Johnson down here in Atlanta like 3 days before I saw him the last show before they suspended his tour. And he rarely ever tours with another guitar dude's name, but oh my goodness. So maybe on tomorrow's live stream, I'll get Jason information and he can bring that guy up. That guy, anybody who can sit on a stage and hang with Eric Johnson is ridiculous. And played keys and acoustic guitar and sang. He covered some of Eric's stuff, and even tonality he kind of nailed a little bit. So maybe we'll do that. Let's try to harvest or cull through our influences or like maybe under the radar people and throw it out here to the world. But
all right. Yeah, if you haven't seen Marcus, definitely check him out, Brian. You'll love him. You'll dig him. They do some cool stuff. Good band too. Good band. Horn line. Some horns in there, and throw a Hammond organ in. I'm in. So.
Yeah, I was watching Rick Beato last night, and he was at Josh Smith's place in his studio, and he had a Hammond in there. He's like, well, here's the Hammond B3 live there in the isolation room. So, yeah, you get yourself like a Fender Rhodes and a Hammond B3, and you can cover.
Right. So, what else we got? Still have one package coming for the Tremolo series. That's from Hampstead. You can let that cat out of the bag. I'm interested to see that one.
There's one more.
What's going on out there in YouTube land, man? There's like 4 people watching. What's everybody doing? Like who are you listening to? Like what's popping up in your stream that's caught your eye?
While you're waiting for an answer, here's what I found incredibly interesting yesterday, to me at least. First of all, I mentioned Rick Beato, right? Rick Beato, I didn't know who Rick Beato was until about 4 months ago, right? And then when I did, I'm like, he's a producer guy. And then I saw him play guitar, and I was like, what in the world is happening here? And so he's friends with Tim Pierce. Maybe many of you have heard Tim Pierce, like a session extraordinaire kind of guy. And they went to see Larry Carlton together. And they then sat back down in Tim Pierce's studio and started breaking down all of Larry Carlton's playing. And Rick Beato's knowledge of actual scales, modes, chord voicings, and his playing was on par with Tim Pierce. Tim Pierce is like, yeah, I don't know if I would have known what to call that chord. And then they were just like breaking down like the Kid Charlemagne solo from Steely Dan. And it was unbelievable because here's a guy, Tim Pierce, has played on thousands and thousands of albums. And then there's Rick Beato like breaking down stuff for him. It was pretty wild.
That's crazy. Crazy how good this guy is.
But it's interesting. Like I'm not looking at the comments, so just raise a hand, talk over me if somebody says something. But the cool thing that Rick Beato had was he's got like this little cockpit. Like I've got toilet paper and hand and sanitizer behind me, but he would be sitting in a cockpit with amp switchers and everything he needs to operate. Well, right on the other side of his console is like a living room. So he was doing these chats with like Rick Beato was like sitting on the other side of the console, and then he had Ray Parker Jr. on and all these other people talking about just guitars and careers. And so, yeah, you could go down a pretty deep rabbit hole with Tim Pierce or Rick Beato. Tim Pierce was breaking down some of the songs he played on, some obscure stuff, Crowded House, some Michael Jackson stuff, and just real interesting. So if you get bored.
So 2 comments. One's from Brian. He says the Hampstead tremolo is fantastic, which I'm really looking forward to hearing that one.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy that sent it to that I was talking to said that it has some interesting something in like it offered to walk me through it when it gets here because they have some interesting things built into the circuit. I'm not really sure what that means yet, but we'll definitely be reaching out to him. And then Mom is watching too, PJ, just so you know.
Oh, okay. There we go. Well, it's really funny. I don't know if this is like, some kind of thing, but it's so funny. Every once in a while, a random pocket dial. I'll be listening to some YouTube thing, and I have my phone in my pocket, and I'm walking around. Next thing I know, my mom's like, "Hello." I'm like, I didn't mean to call you, but what's up? It's happened several times since I've been down here in Georgia. So maybe that's God's way of saying you should probably check in with your mother. Randomly, it doesn't call anybody else usually. And trust me, on my speed dial, my wife's number not going down that way. But sorry, Mom, Jen's number 1 speed dial.
Oh, but yet it still calls your mother.
So personal question for the beard. All of the because you have several young granddaughters. Everybody's all good and squirreled away somewhere, and
yeah,
lots of FaceTime with you.
FaceTiming my daughter has a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and we've been FaceTiming a lot. And if you've never experienced a half hour to 45-minute FaceTime with a 1-year-old or a 3-year-old, it is almost more exhausting than having them both here. I mean, like
let's do that for the show tomorrow. Let's have them put up a third window with them.
Yeah, it is something. It is just a crazy moment. And then I have about a 1.5-week-old granddaughter who's out in Arizona. So with this, social distancing, I don't know.
Right.
I've met her through FaceTime. But the 1-week-old isn't much fun to interact with on the phone.
Right.
So Brian says on his days off last week, he did binge practicing. He put in 10 to 12 hours a day for 5 days. My hat's off to you, man.
Good for you. I'm sequestered without any musical instruments. I'm thinking about that of my guitar collection. Next time I'm driving down here, I'm throwing something with strings in here. I got nothing.
Well, what about the Ovation? Is the Ovation still?
That was at the other house.
Oh, that's at the other house.
Yeah.
So.
Because we were talking about even like the jam with JHS things going on. We're like, that'd be fun to like create some kind of video with the two of us. I'm like, yeah, I'd be playing air guitar. Maybe that'll be my shtick. I'll play air guitar the whole time.
Yes. No, mother. This is PJ mother. Brian said hello to Mother Beard, but no, that's Pat's mom, who's hanging out with us.
Right. On Facebook, I assume.
Yeah, she's on Facebook.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, and he said Grandpa Rock. Yeah, grandfathering thing is pretty cool. If I had known how fun being a grandparent was, I never would have had children. I just went straight to that.
I think about how that would work. You're a biology teacher, right?
Yeah, I mean, got to find a way, right?
It's like we have one extended family-ish member that is a little flighty at times. It's really funny. She goes, I want to marry. What did she say? Something. I want to marry a boy whose mom never had any boys, because I don't understand boys. I'm like, possible. She's going right to grandbabies.
Just nod. Those are the just nod moments, right? Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah. Well, first, before this goes, and then we go, oh, okay.
All right, so while we're hanging out,
we're gonna go shopping.
We're gonna go shopping. So, hold on. I had to mute the cough. I don't want anybody to think that I'm spreading germs. So, but I thought,
here, I'm gonna help everybody out.
I'm wondering. Wipe down your screen.
There you go. You're all good now.
Brian said you can hand the grandkids back. They're exhausting when they're here, but when you hand them back and they leave, you miss them. But yeah, that's the whole point. You can hand them back
with a little candy in their pocket and some ice cream on their chin.
Oh, Brian asking if I checked out the Allen amp, and you know what? I sent him a text and I told him I was going to go eat lunch and do that the other day, and then I got back to work before I got to do it. No, I didn't. I will do that because I want to see what you're talking about, because you said it's kind of like the same idea as the Tyler, so I definitely want to check that out. So I'm going to make a note here. I'm making a note. Allen amp, because maybe we can talk about that tomorrow. All right.
With an okay. Okay.
Yeah, I did. Well, yeah, well, there you go. So one of the things I've been wondering about is, are we going to see a lot, and I don't want people to take this incorrectly, but I'm wondering, are we going to see a lot of deals? Are people trying to get, I've been noticing a trend when I go in and look at my Reverb account and on the things that I follow, it seems like prices are dropping. There's a lot of people discounting, a lot of people doing sales, and I just thought it'd be interesting to take a look and see what. Not that I'm going to meet somebody in the Rudders parking lot to pick up a piece of gear from them right now, but I just thought it'd be interesting to see what's out.
You think you could get the giant Peapod delivery guy to swing by Rudders and just pick it up for you?
I'll buy it, but you have to be a giant and put it on the Peapod truck.
That's right. I'll be the guy in the suit with the Peapod truck. I know he doesn't have a beard. Don't worry about it.
So right there, Pat.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's all us, right?
Yep. $350, right? You said, oh, let's get the little tube screen, little tube tamer in the back.
Right. Oh yeah, they got the little thing on it.
Yep, an extra little grill there.
Handcrafted in the US. It's an older one, right?
Nice.
In different times, I would almost be willing to go pick that up and get rid of the black one I have, because I'd love to get a tweed one instead of the black one.
I've been pretty fortunate. All of my classic series stuff is all tweed, but the black's kind of cool. But if you have all tweed, you kind of want to stay that way.
The tweed sounds better too, right?
That's right. That's right. Gives you instant credibility.
Oh man!
Because the first. It's not that I was ashamed to play PV. I just hated that logo. And if Brody were on this call, he would confirm that. I always called it like the Barney Rubble Fred Flintstone font. So I would always just take it off just because I didn't like it, not because I was ashamed I was playing. Do you know how many times that my amp has been confused for a Fender amp? They're like, "Oh man, that amp sounded great. What is that? Like a Fender?" I'm like, "No, it's PV. We're good."
Well, I was a PV snob too.
Oh yeah,
I was a total PV snob, and I've grown to love. I mean, playing through it every Sunday for 3 years, I've grown to love it.
Yeah,
Hack's here, man. What's up, Hack?
Hey.
How you doing?
Every time I see a Hack in the Hack Shack, I do in my mind, picture him ice fishing through the floor there.
Here's one that confuses me, man. This Sonic Stomp, because isn't that like the BB Sonic Stomp that nobody knows what it does, but everybody thinks it's essential to make everything sound better?
I don't know what it does, but do this and everything sounds better. It was sort of the way I was trying to describe compression one day. I don't fully understand it, but I know in certain cases you push that button and it sounds really good.
I don't know. My Facebook didn't let me go out to. All right. While we're waiting for Facebook to go, where's my?
Did your wife put up filters on your Facebook account?
That or she's upstairs working and me working, and us live streaming her working, and I do want to show you guys something because we got Hack in the house. Hack is a resident Gibson guy. Yes, what do you think of this, man? Let me find it. Go to my watch list. No, my feed. I go to my feed. You get to see what I have in my feed. I don't know. Maybe it's gone.
There's a tape echo there. We were shocked by.
Too slow. There was from the name of the company, Dax and Company, who's kind of local to us. They're in Lancaster. There was a relic Gibson Les Paul Studio. Pretty cool. But check this out from Chris over at Woodshed.
Yeah.
What is up with that?
I just like to play through it. I've never played real tape echo.
In different times, if I knew he had it, we would have got it over here and done an episode on it.
Let's go pick it up.
Yeah, here's the Lysol. Let's go get it. We're hoping to have Chris on the show, so maybe he can talk about that.
Yeah, because I got to believe there's more stories. If that came from where we think it came from, he was. I'm not sure if it was an estate, but it was a big collection that they were selling, and he went through it and brought a bunch of stuff back, and I think was kind of getting through some of that stuff when all of this kind of went down. So maybe that's part of that. Maybe there's others.
My love for your. Yeah, I don't know. My love for your Diaz has me following those. $4.99. I think there's other ones in here too. $5.25. $5.25. I have yours here. I might put it on reverb and see what I can get for it.
Go buy that tape echo.
How about this, guys? This is at Chris's shop too.
Those are so cool looking. I've never played one, but I've seen them.
Yeah, they're pretty. I played it for a couple minutes. It was a nice guitar. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Oh, you MC Hammer?
What happened there? What else was jumping out at me in here and I was looking through the other night? How about Chris also has this double cut Les Paul. I think I might have played that for a minute too.
I think you did. I think you sent me a picture of that.
Now see that I like that. One volume, one tone, 3-way toggle, double cut. It's very I wonder why I like that so much, right?
Maybe Ted McCarty had something to do with that, and then you have a PRS that has his name on it. Maybe.
That's a nice looking Les Paul, but I imagine the double cuts. There's a double cut that shows up on Craigslist kind of locally. It shows up about once every 6 months for a while, or once a year for a while. That same guys had that thing trying to sell it forever. Like a little leery of it. Hughes and Kettner.
I can't. What is that? How much is that?
$283.92.
Yeah. It's crazy. A couple of the pieces of gear we have that we really like. If we had to go get one now, we wouldn't have one. I'm guessing that would be one of them.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't think I'd spend that much on it.
I wouldn't have an original 808. I wouldn't have the Chumbadillo. I don't think you would have that. He's in Catman.
Here's a pedal I'm really interested in, though. The Falcon. Remember that video that Andy did on how to sound like Neil Young?
Yeah.
That was the tweed pedal he was using. But I'm hoping, we're still hoping, holding out hope Lawrence Petros is going to make the tweed pedal he says he's making. So Brian said, doesn't Rich Robertson play one of those guitars? I think he's talking about the Zamatis. I think that might be right.
Okay.
And Brian's waiting for an Epiphone Les Paul Special in TV Yellow to come in. Is that one of the new ones, Brian?
And Epiphone's, really getting it done right now. Everybody was really excited what they saw at NAMM.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we can tolerate anything until it comes to the internet. Then we're like, wait, what?
One listing. I like those. I like those classic colors like that.
Mm-hmm.
What about? So, after watching Marcus play that Flying V last night, I was browsing Reverb, looking at Flying Vs. I wonder that Chris has had a couple of those Carina Epiphone Flying Vs go through. I wonder if that would be better than just buying a whatever. He's gonna put Lawlers in the TVL Epiphone. Well, that'll sound good, right? Hack says he did a review on it and it was good. That's very cool. So that's new, I guess. Let's go to Sweetwater and check it out. It's Paul Jr. Is this the new one?
Must be.
They're only giving me the one, though. They're not giving me the TV Yellow. Brian says he saw Hack's review with the Gibson versus the Epiphone.
Mm-hmm.
He's just not committed enough to spend that $1,600 on a P90 guitar. And yeah, I'm kind of with him. There's a couple that I would. There's a couple P90s I've played I really like, and there's a couple P90s I've played that I really dislike, and I'd be afraid to.
Yeah, it was interesting going back to Rick Beato. He was talking about recording, and they're talking about different players and mixing, and a lot of times they love P90s. He always had 2 or 3 different kind of guitars with P90s in the studio, and he would pan one side and either full-on humbuckers or single coil like Strat stuff on the other side. He's like, P90s are great for recording.
Oh my gosh, look at that. Gibson Custom 58 Les Paul Jr. double cut reissue. $3,799.
You got to be serious about your TV Yellow double cuts for that.
Yeah, come on. A single P90 guitar. Like there's no carved top. It's a block of wood with one pickup on it. Like
they have those syringes full of Mojo. They stick it to the side of the wood.
How do they get that to be that much money?
It's funny because every time, not you, but every time this comes up and people on YouTube talk about stuff and they're like, well, somebody must be because they're selling them. It's interesting. That's when everyone starts bashing on the doctors and lawyers. But.
Right. It's a doctor's car. Yeah, Hack said that just replace the pickup on it too. It's a ripoff to go that much. I can't.
You
I
can
mean,
buy
I
any
get
pickup
it.
you
I
want
mean,
for
if
that,
you're
right?
going, I mean, it's TV yellow too. It's like TV yellow, no carve on the top. I mean, when those guitars were made, they were made as like, weren't they almost like student guitars, kind of like?
Very utilitarian, for sure.
I think we got close at one time to buying one of these, didn't we, Pat?
What is it? Sorry.
The Epiphone Les Paul SL. Remember when they first came out? They're like $100 each.
Mm-hmm.
A whole bunch
Back
of
when,
colors.
yeah, back in the beginning of the channel, like, what can we buy? Because we can't buy guitars, we can buy pedals. Oh, there's some cool colors there. Guitar that's priced like a pedal.
We gotta get better at setting that kind of stuff up. We can't keep handing Chris cheap guitars to fix for free. Brian says it's authentic.
Yes. Authentically overpriced.
Right. $3,000 some dollars. Like, you can't tell me that they're using, if they're painting it TV yellow, you can't tell me, like, you're not going to strip that TV yellow off and find like a flame maple top underneath of it or something, right? Like, I mean,
right.
Or even a nice piece of whatever it's made out of, mahogany or whatever. Come on, I'm not buying that.
Literally.
Yeah. I'm not buying it in more ways than one. I don't know. Anyway. So, yeah, anything else, Pat? I mean, is this our conversation for the day? It was nice to have Hack and Brian stop in, and then there were some people earlier that were chiming in a little bit, and we appreciate hearing from them. James was in, and Matt was in. I don't know if they're still sticking around, or they might do what I do and do drive-bys, right? You get in for a little while, and
yeah, and if you're actually on your device, your actual phone, you can't multitask. You get a text from somebody, you have to jump out or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. No, I just we've sort of committed ourselves to 19 conversations, and this is number 2. Again, the goal to bring in interesting things to help pass the time, start a conversation, check in on people, find out how people are doing, what's going on in their world. I made pancakes today, so you guys pretty excited.
So Brian said that Epiphone's really up their game, and he can live with the new headstock. The old one was a non-starter. So this is the new headstock, I guess?
More of the book thing, yeah.
Yeah, how's that compared to an old Epiphone?
I think the old Epiphone had more of a bigger headstock, like is that called the book, right? The open book or whatever. That it was much more pronounced. Is that true?
Is that more of the old?
Probably. Yeah, see how it's kind of like
is this the old non-starter?
Yeah.
It's a little higher, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Kind of the same thing, but a little higher and maybe a little wider.
Like, is your Les Paul handy? Like, could you like?
Well,
because I do agree that the headstock on the Gibson you have up on the screen, or Epiphone you have on the screen, is more Gibson-esque.
Yeah, because the Les Paul would be more like, I don't know if I can hold that up with one hand.
You're getting close to it. Yeah.
A little bit of a glare compared. There's Guitar Hack. So
yeah, it was kind of cool, like with the Epiphones, like the Sheridan and stuff that had the different inlays on the headstock. That bigger headstock didn't bother me, but I'm with you, Brian. That and like a full-size Fender headstock. There's sometimes headstocks will make it or break it, man. I guess why people lost their mind when they flipped the headstock on the Silver Sky. Like, wait, that's not what I'm used to seeing.
right.
But I agree. That's a much more, especially because, Epiphone has a line that's specifically Epiphone, and Epiphone clearly has a line that are intentional Gibson copies. So make the headstock look a little bit more like the Gibson, something more familiar. So good for them.
That that 339 is a nice guitar.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one of the things I think about, like Brian said, I'd like to have a P90 guitar, but I don't want to spend $3,000 for it. So, entry, put a couple good pickups in it. The 339, I didn't even replace the pickups in. Didn't replace the pots in it because the pots needed a little help. It helped the guitar quite a bit, I think, compared.
Right.
But yeah. I mean, I we're not guitar snobs. If it plays good and sounds good,
And if we were, we grew out of it some.
right? It might have been at one point in time, but
I'm still having trouble getting down with the PRS SEs personally. They're great. They're nice. But now they started put a little carve in the top. That helps a little bit. But it's because I started with the real thing, only because I bought them pre-owned. And so once you kind of start with that, it's like kind of hard to go backwards. Because most people do the SE to build up into the core. We had cores before there were cores.
I picked up one of the.
Was it the one
The other day when I was down at Tone Taylor's?
Yeah.
I picked up this guitar.
Yeah, anything with F-holes, that's where they're killing, right? Yeah. So I mean, I could probably be.
We're talking in grand here, so it's not like you're talking about a $200 SE,
right?
Or
$500 or $600, Mexican Strat.
Now I picked that up. Every PRS I've played, I've liked the necks on. Well, I mean, I'm not a big fan of the wide thin or pattern thin neck,
right?
But if they have that kind of wide fat neck, I forget what they call it now, but if they have that kind of middle neck on it, I really like it. But there was a big difference in feel just picking that guitar up compared to picking up one of the hollow bodies that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Neck feels good, but it's not. I don't think it's totally hollow. It's heavier than like the normal hollow bodies. It's
right.
That said, I mean, it's a nice guitar. I mean, it's a really nice guitar. Brian said the Gretsch Streamliner broke his guitar snobbery, and Hack said that he has that. Well, he has the PRS SE that he swapped up, and now it's a nice guitar.
So I have a little bit of snobbery that still lives in me about that, but
there was a PRS 1 guitar one time I picked up, SE1.
Okay.
Which I don't think they make those anymore, so you probably won't get anything if you do a search on that. But it was a TV yellow I'm not even sure that's exactly what it's called. Yeah, it is. This guy. Carina body.
Okay.
1 P90. 1 volume knob. And I picked one of those up one time, and it was really a cool guitar.
Is that I can't see that. Is that $6-something? $649? $549?
$699 plus 65 shipping used right now. For that guy wants for it. Hack's on his way out. Hack, we're on our way out too, man. Thanks for stopping in.
Yeah, man.
We'll be talking to you soon, I think. So Brian wants a PRS Bernie Mason
Marson, right? Yeah, Marson, whatever. Yeah.
They're hard to find. So yeah, I think that's it for us, right?
Yeah.
So with that, we'll probably see you again tomorrow if anybody's around.
That's right. And if anybody's counting, a little, maybe I'll start putting a little mark on the wall. 1, 2 conversations. Keep going. I'll do it right on your beard right here if you don't mind. It's a nice little white spot.
So while you're browsing tonight, and while you're or whatever it is that you do, look for topics while you're scrolling down.
Right. I went on a deep Tim Pierce, Rick Beato one last night, but myself personally, I looked up the guy that was playing with Eric Johnson. We gotta feature some of his stuff.
Right. Brian says he has to get ready for work. So,
right.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, we're going too, man. So, hey, thanks for stopping by, everybody. We'll see you later. And with that, I think
PJ, on behalf of this thing, reminding you, no matter what you hear, you never have too much gear. Peace out from Studio B.
Around.
Dinner time.
Boom.